All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are taking a deep dive into some really fascinating stuff. We're going to be exploring Beyond the Flower of Life.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is, right? It's by Maureen J. Germain.
Okay.
And it's all about the MerKaBa and some really interesting techniques for spiritual growth. And it's
Right.
like, it's almost like a guide, with all these different practices and exercises
Yeah,
to like supercharge your meditations and help you, really connect with your higher self.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah, it's like shifting into a higher gear, you
Yeah,
know.
spiritually speaking. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people might already be familiar with the concept of the MerKaBa, maybe from workshops or other spiritual teachings.
Yeah, for sure. I have to admit, the first time I heard about it, I was like, wait, a chariot of light? What
Right.
is that? But then, of course, I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting, especially because, Saint Germain draws on all these different spiritual traditions in the book: Hindu, Egyptian, Hebrew, Tibetan.
Mm.
Have you ever explored any of those before?
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
think I think it's amazing how she kind of brings them all together.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you look at different world religions, the more you kind of see these common threads, you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah. It's like there's this underlying wisdom that kind of connects them all.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get into it. What exactly is this Merkaba thing?
Well, it's really fascinating. It's you know how we all have this energy field around us?
Right.
Saint Germain calls that our MerKaBa,
Okay.
which is basically our light body.
Oh, okay.
And it's activated by these geometric patterns that exist within that field.
Oh, wow.
And, we all have it, but it's like we have to kind of remember it and reactivate it.
Remember it. So it's like it's already there. It's like we already know it somehow.
Right. It's like learning to ride a bike,
Yeah.
You never really forget how to do it,
Yeah.
even if it's been years. It's just a matter of kind of bringing that knowledge back to the surface.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, and she even compares it to like working on a car, like the different stages of the 17 breath meditation, which is a really central practice in the book. It's like, detailing the car, tuning it up, putting gas in it,
Oh, wow.
turning on the ignition, putting it in gear, and then finally stepping on the gas to really get it going.
Okay, that's a powerful image.
Right.
So we're basically talking about a light body vehicle that can like transport our consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Wow. And speaking of powerful things, the book also goes into connecting with your higher self.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what even is the higher self?
Okay, so think of it this way. Your higher self is basically the wisest, most evolved version of you. It's like it's in tune with your soul's purpose, and it's connected to this higher consciousness. It's the part of you that always knows what's best for you.
Yeah.
Even if your, everyday self might be focused on more immediate things.
It's like instant gratification.
Exactly. Like choosing the salad over the fries.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes those fries are just calling my name, but I know the salad is probably the better choice.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes, our higher self really knows what's up.
Right.
It's about making choices that really align with, your long-term goals and your soul's journey, ultimately.
So how do we actually start tuning into that guidance? Like, how do we actually connect with our higher self?
Well, one of the key things is learning to quiet the mind.
Okay.
Create that space for your intuition to kind of emerge.
Like turning down the volume on all the external noise.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so we can actually hear what our inner wisdom is trying to tell us.
Right.
But it's more than just listening, right? Because the book also talks about actually like programming the MerKaBa with our intentions. It's almost like setting goals for our energy field, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, we're broadcasting our desires out into the universe.
Wow.
And we're attracting experiences that match those vibrations.
So if we can program our MerKaBa, what else is out there, energetically speaking? Like, does the book talk about other energy fields?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the really interesting concepts she explores is the idea of multiple realities.
Multiple realities. Okay, now we're getting into some mind-bending stuff.
Right. So it sounds kind of far out there.
Yeah.
But, even physicists are starting to look at similar ideas, with quantum mechanics and all that.
Right.
So it's not as crazy as it sounds, maybe.
Okay, so what exactly does she say about these multiple realities?
Well, she basically describes, all these different versions of reality existing at the same time. Wow. Each one with its own set of possibilities.
So like infinite possibilities.
Yeah. It's a pretty mind-boggling concept, right?
Yeah, it is.
But it also suggests that, we might have more say in shaping our experiences than we realize. We might not be locked into this one fixed reality.
Right.
We might actually have the ability to choose which reality we want to align with.
Yeah.
You know?
So instead of just reacting to whatever life throws our way, we can actually like actively participate in co-creating our reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, the MerKaBa is like this tool for making those choices,
Wow.
It's like we have this incredible power to navigate the multiverse, but we have to learn how to use it consciously.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah,
but I'm really curious to learn more about how to actually like work with this MerKaBa and connect with my higher self.
Me too.
So stay tuned, everyone, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to be exploring some of those practical applications.
We are. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually put these principles into practice.
Right. So stay with us.
Welcome back. So we just left off talking about those contracts we seemingly make with the universe, before we're even born.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild concept to think about. Makes you wonder what kind of contracts we might have made, right?
It does. Like, what kind of journey are we supposed to be on? What lessons are we supposed to learn?
Exactly. And it all ties back to the MerKaBa, too. We were talking about its ability to help us navigate those different realities, remember?
Right. It's like an interdimensional vehicle.
Totally. But how do we actually use it? It can't be as simple as just thinking about it, right?
Well, it's not just thinking, but our intention definitely plays a big role.
Okay, so intention is key.
It is. Saint Germain describes the MerKaBa as this energetic vehicle that helps us move our consciousness between dimensions.
Okay.
And she talks about a specific technique she calls surrogate MerKabas.
Surrogate MerKabas. What are those?
Basically, it's like you're projecting your MerKaBa to a specific place,
Okay.
and you're creating this focused field of energy there.
So we're sending like an energetic version of ourselves on a mission, like an avatar.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, like an interdimensional avatar.
That's pretty amazing. And what can we use these surrogate MerKabas for?
Oh, all sorts of things. She gives examples of using them to send healing energy to someone who's sick, or, to create a protective field around a loved one.
That's incredible. So we're basically like beaming our energy across dimensions.
Pretty much. It's amazing to think about the possibilities.
It is. But I also wonder, about the potential for misuse.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Like, could someone use this to influence someone against their will?
Well, Saint Germain is very clear about the importance of respecting free will. She cautions against using surrogate MerKabas to manipulate or control other people.
Right, because that would kind of go against the whole idea of like working with universal energy, not trying to force it to do what we want.
Right, exactly. It's about co-creation, not control.
That makes sense. So it's like we're given these incredible tools, but it's up to us to use them wisely and for the highest good.
Exactly. We have a responsibility,
Yeah, for sure. It's all about ethics and intention.
Totally.
And speaking of powerful energies, Saint Germain also talks about ley lines and grid lines in the book.
Oh, yeah, those are fascinating.
Can you explain what those are? Like, what are ley lines and grid lines, and how do they affect us?
So think of ley lines as these channels of earth energy, kind of like rivers of energy flowing all around us. And they can be both beneficial and harmful, actually.
Really?
Yeah, they can carry like positive vibrations that can enhance healing and spiritual growth, but they can also carry negative energies that can kind of disrupt our well-being.
So we need to be aware of these energy currents and learn to navigate them skillfully.
Yeah, it's like learning to read the currents in a river,
Yeah.
You would just jump in without understanding how the water flows.
That's a good point. So what about those grid lines? Are they similar?
They are, but they're often associated with like energy systems that are created by humans,
Okay.
like power grids, communication networks.
Even the internet.
So it's like we've overlaid the Earth's natural energy systems with our own technological creations.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
So do those human-made grids like interact with the natural ones at all?
Well, Saint Germain suggests that they do, and in ways that we might not fully understand yet. She even proposes that these grid lines can be influenced by our thoughts and emotions.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. And we can actually use them to amplify our intentions and create positive change.
So we're not just passive recipients of these energies, We can actively participate in shaping them.
Exactly. That's what's so exciting about it.
And that connects back to the idea of collective consciousness, too.
Right. How our thoughts and emotions can literally impact the world around us.
Totally. And that leads to something else St. Germain talks about, grid work. What is that exactly? Oh, that's where it gets really interesting. She describes working with these groups of volunteers who use their MerKaBas and intentions to clear negative energies from the Earth's grid system
Oh, wow.
and to amplify positive vibrations.
So they're like energetic gardeners tending to the planet's subtle energy fields.
I love that analogy. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It is.
Yeah.
And what kind of impact have they seen from this work? Like, have they actually noticed any tangible changes?
Well, she shares some pretty incredible stories about how grid work has helped to, dissolve fear-based grids that were forming during times of global uncertainty.
Really? So they're literally like shifting the energy of the planet.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
It's a powerful example of how we can use our energy to create a more harmonious and balanced world.
It's pretty inspiring.
It is. It shows that we're not powerless.
Yeah.
We can actually make a difference.
Totally. So it's not just about personal transformation, it's about planetary transformation as well.
Exactly. It's all connected.
But let's shift gears for a moment. Saint Germain also talks about something called blows to the heart in the book.
Oh, yeah. Those are tough.
They are. Can you explain what those are?
Basically, they're those moments when our trust is broken by someone we love, like a betrayal or a deep disappointment.
Right. Those really gut-wrenching moments of heartbreak.
Exactly. It can feel like your heart is literally breaking.
Yeah. I think we've all been there at some point.
Yeah. It's part of the human experience, unfortunately.
It is. But does Saint Germain suggest that we should try to avoid those experiences altogether?
Interestingly, she actually sees these blows to the heart as opportunities for growth.
Really?
Yeah, as painful as they are,
Yeah.
they can actually be catalysts for opening our hearts even wider, and developing greater compassion, both for ourselves and for others.
So instead of shutting down and building walls around our hearts, she's saying we should actually lean into the pain and use it as fuel for our spiritual evolution.
Exactly. It's about transforming those experiences into something positive, something that helps us evolve.
Okay, that's a really powerful perspective.
It is. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible.
And it reminds us that even the most difficult experiences can serve a higher purpose if we choose to see them that way.
Right. We have a choice in how we respond to those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So even heartbreak can be a teacher.
It can. And speaking of teachers, St. Germain also delves into some pretty advanced concepts later in the book.
Okay, here we go. Back into the mind-bending stuff.
Yeah. She talks about different dimensions of consciousness
Ooh.
and what it means to become multidimensional.
Multi-dimensional. Okay, what does that even mean?
Well, it's about expanding our awareness beyond our usual three-dimensional reality,
Right.
She describes all these different dimensions of existence, not as separate places,
Okay.
but more like different levels of vibration or consciousness.
So it's not about physically going to another dimension, but more about tuning our consciousness to different frequencies?
Exactly. Yeah, like switching channels on a radio.
Okay, I like that analogy. So what are some of these different dimensions like? Do they each have unique qualities?
They do. For example, the fifth dimension is often associated with love, harmony, and instant manifestation.
Wow.
And the sixth dimension is more about group consciousness and creating blueprints for reality.
So each dimension offers a different perspective and different possibility.
Exactly. And as we evolve spiritually, we start to access and integrate these higher dimensions into our consciousness.
So we become more multidimensional in the process.
Yeah, it's like we're leveling up in a video game.
Huh, I love
Yeah.
that. So are these multidimensional experiences just theoretical, or can they actually have tangible effects on our lives?
Oh, they can definitely have real-world effects. St. Germain suggests that as we become more multidimensional, we might experience more synchronicities, have more vivid dreams, even develop intuitive gifts like clairvoyance or telepathy.
Wow, that's pretty wild. But it also makes sense, as we expand our awareness, we naturally start to tap into those latent abilities.
Right. It's like we're unlocking hidden potential within ourselves.
It's like we're upgrading our operating system.
Totally. But it's important to remember that those abilities aren't the end goal. They're
Right.
just byproducts of an expanded consciousness.
Yeah, it's not about seeking power for its own sake, but using it to serve a higher purpose.
Exactly. It's about contributing to the well-being of ourselves and others.
And that brings us to a really important part of the book, Saint Germain's advice for living a more balanced and fulfilling life.
Right, because all of this knowledge is amazing, but how do we actually apply it in our everyday lives?
That's what I want to know. We've explored the MerKaBa, multiple realities, and even those mysterious black helicopters.
Don't forget the Bestly lines and grid work.
Oh yeah, that too. Now I'm ready to learn how to actually integrate all of this into my daily life.
Me too. I think we're both ready for some practical wisdom.
Well, stay tuned, everyone, because in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore exactly that. We'll delve into the practical advice that Saint Germain offers for creating a more joyful and meaningful life, even amidst all the chaos and uncertainty of the world today.
And we'll discover how to use these incredible tools and principles to navigate the challenges and opportunities of these transformative times.
So stay with us. Welcome back, listeners, to the final part of our deep dive into Beyond the Flower of Life. We've journeyed through multiple realities, encountered black helicopters, and learned all about the MerKaBa, but now let's talk about how we can actually apply these principles to our daily lives.
That's the key, isn't it? Because it's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another thing entirely to actually, live them.
Exactly. And Saint Germain offers so much practical wisdom on how to do just that. She really emphasizes the importance of balance, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual balance, especially in these times of constant change and transformation.
Right, because everything's shifting so quickly. It's easy to feel kind of off kilter,
Totally. So what kind of practices does Saint Germain suggest for cultivating that balance? Because, it sounds simple, but sometimes it feels so hard to actually achieve.
Yeah, it can be tricky. But she suggests some really, simple but powerful practices, like daily meditation, spending time in nature, mindful breathing, and even toning or chanting to help harmonize our energies.
Those are all great, especially the nature part. I always feel so much more grounded after spending time outdoors.
Oh, me too. It's like nature has this reset button for our nervous systems,
Totally. And she also talks about the importance of emotional clearing work, right?
Right, because all that old stuff can really weigh us down. Those old patterns, traumas, limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
They can really hold us back.
Yeah, it's like we're carrying around all this baggage from the past, so how do we actually release that stuff?
Well, she suggests a few different techniques. Journaling can be really helpful. Also forgiveness practices. And even working with essential oils or energy healing modalities can help clear those heavier energies.
It's like becoming alchemists of our own energy, right? Transforming those denser energies into something lighter.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
And it's an ongoing process too, right? Because we're constantly evolving and growing.
Right. There are always going to be ups and downs, moments of expansion and contraction. But the key is just keep moving forward, keep learning and growing.
Yeah, it's about trusting the journey, even when it gets messy. And speaking of trust, Saint Germain talks a lot about connecting with our higher selves and trusting their guidance. But how do we know if we're really hearing that inner wisdom or just the chatter of our own minds? Because sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference.
That's a really good question. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with. But Saint Germain suggests paying attention to the quality of the guidance you're receiving. Messages from your higher self tend to feel very clear and calm, and they're always aligned with your highest good. They feel expansive and uplifting. Whereas the ego's voice can be more fearful or doubtful or self-serving. It often feels more constricted and limiting.
So it's about discerning between those two voices, essentially.
Exactly. The voice of fear versus the voice of love.
Yeah, that makes sense. And she encourages us to actually cultivate a relationship with our higher self.
Right. Through meditation, journaling, or even just asking for guidance throughout the day. It's about building that connection and learning to trust that inner wisdom.
It's like we have this wise, loving part of ourselves that's always there to guide us. We just have to learn to listen.
Exactly. And the more we listen to that guidance, the more confident and empowered we become. Because we know we're not just making decisions based on our limited human perspective. We're tapping into a higher source of wisdom.
Right. It's like we have a more experienced captain at the helm, but even the best captains need a little help sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not meant to do this alone. And Saint Germain reminds us that we have a whole team of spiritual allies who are always available to support us. Angels, guides, ascended masters, they're all there waiting for us to ask for their help.
It's a good reminder that we're not alone in this journey. There's so much love and support available to us if we just open ourselves to it.
Yeah. And I think one of the most beautiful messages that Saint Germain emphasizes throughout the book is the importance of living from the heart.
Ah, yes. Love is the guiding force.
Exactly. She reminds us that love is the most powerful force in the universe. And by opening our hearts, we can transform not only our own lives, but the world around us.
It's about letting that love flow out into everything we do, our interactions, our communities, the planet itself.
And it's not just about romantic love or even love for our families and friends. It's about cultivating a deep and unconditional love for ourselves, for all beings, for the very fabric of existence.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. And that feels so important right now, especially with all the division and discord in the world. We need that heart-centered awareness more than ever.
We do. And I think Beyond the Flower of Life gives us a really beautiful roadmap for cultivating that awareness, for awakening to our true potential, and for co-creating a more loving and harmonious world.
It's a call to action, an invitation to step into our roles as conscious co-creators, and to embrace the transformative journey that's unfolding before us.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. You have your own inner wisdom, your spiritual allies, and the infinite power of love to guide you every step of the way.
So as we wrap up this incredible deep dive, I have one final question for you, dear listener. If we truly do have contracts with the universe, what does your contract entail? What unique role are you here to play in this grand unfolding story of ascension?
It's something to ponder as you continue exploring these concepts. Beyond the Flower of Life can be a wonderful guide, but the real journey unfolds within you. It's a journey of self-discovery, of expanding your awareness, of embracing your own limitless potential.
It's a journey filled with wonder, mystery, and infinite possibilities. So embrace the journey, trust yourself, and know that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Beyond the Flower of Life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep expanding, and keep shining your light.
Did you get any of that?